All right, Chief. So I know that you've been with the Birmingham Police Department for quite some time, 26 years, correct?
26 years.
And the last couple years have had the opportunity to serve as chief. What's your biggest takeaway from your entire experience here?
It evolved into something that I never thought it would be. I mean that in a good way. I was just so excited to be a police officer and work for the city of Birmingham. Just never had aspirations of being the chief, and just where this career has taken me and opportunities that have presented themselves to me and my family have been awesome. But also just the people that I've met, the people in the city, the citizens, the men and women of the police department that's probably the harder thing to walk away from, is just the people that you met, the relationships that you built. That's the harder thing to walk away from.
If you could go back and change anything or do anything differently, would you?
Nope, not one thing. Just been an awesome career. To end up to rise from being a recruit in the police academy to one day serving as the chief of police for the largest police department in the state of Alabama is just a dream.
What made you decide that you wanted to step down and retire?
Just a lot of things. I turned 50 this year, so just looking at the future as far as what's the long-term goal of final retirement. I can go work in another agency in the state system and serve 10 years. That'll give me a second retirement. And just looking at just having a little more family time. Those were two of the biggest factors, really.
And you said when you made the announcement that this didn't happen overnight, you actually made the decision months ago.
Probably around May or June of this year. Just did some thinking about what the future holds for me, for my family, and just trying to figure out what the next move is. Is it to try and stay till I reach my 30-year mark? Is it to leave now? Is it what opportunities are out there? And so looking for other opportunities was a big piece of that as well.
Do you have any opportunity lined up?
I do have an opportunity lined up. Probably in the next 2 weeks that announcement will be made.
Okay, so I take it that opportunity will still be in the law enforcement field, correct?
I'll still be in law enforcement. We'll still be in the state of Alabama.
Any move required with that job transition?
Not at this time.
Okay. And as someone else, takes the torch, so to speak, and takes on this leadership role with the Birmingham Police Department, what's your message for whoever that next chief is?
Just continue to grow the department. And so one thing that we're doing different with me leaving and interim chief Michael Pickett coming is a transition. Something that hasn't really taken place in my career here is a transition between two chiefs. And so to have a smooth transition sets up interim chief Pickett for success. It sets up the department for success, and also sets up the level of service that the citizens will continue to get. And so that's important to me. I want nothing but the best for the city of Birmingham, the Birmingham Police Department, and the men and women who work here every day. So how do we continue on what's been built so far and continue that? So a lot of times what happens as a chief is you come in as a new chief and you have to start over from scratch. There's not a playbook left. There's really nothing left. When I came in, I had nothing. There was nothing left in that office. There was nothing for me. There was no one I could call. And I had to really just figure it out on my own. Luckily, there was other police chiefs I could call in the area or in the state that were very helpful to me. But to give interim chief Pickett a playbook and show him how everything runs day to day, leaving him files and things to refer back to, is extremely critical to the success for the department and for the city.
What's been the most difficult part of being the police chief here?
Well, it's like I tell our recruits and our officers, no one ever calls 911 to say I'm having a good day. And so, people call us for when they're having their worst point in their life, whatever that issue may be. Maybe it's a traffic accident, maybe someone's shot, whatever the case may be. And so, you're just trying to figure out, how do you fix, sometimes you feel like a human fire extinguisher. How do I fix all these problems at the same time? And so sometimes it's very challenging.
And one thing that the city of Birmingham has had pretty high number of this year is homicides. That rate, if it continues on the trend that we've seen, will surpass last year's data. I know it's not a problem that can be fixed overnight, but in your experience, what do you think needs to change to combat that?
You know, so a lot of it starts in the home, and you've heard me say that before. You know, a lot of it starts in the home. It really does. You know, the police can't be the end all for fix all for people who have just issues with another. Just if you and I were going to have an issue, do I resort to using my gun to resolve our issue, or do you and I talk about it, or do we just decide that, listen, we can't resolve it and we just walk away? And so conflict resolution, you know, the city is doing a lot of that within the Birmingham City school system now, but unfortunately that's going to take time to evoke that change. People just got to realize that the gun is not how you solve all your problems. That just creates bigger problems. It destroys families. I just wish people would stop and think before they resort to that to solving their problems.
And with that being said, recruitment, as far as, you know, the number of officers, I know that there's been a lot of initiatives both between the city and the police department, collaborative initiatives. It's a tough time, you know, to take on this job to begin with, but when you're, you know, fighting for the same candidate pool with all the other surrounding, you know, agencies that are also looking for qualified officers, you know, how challenging is that? And do you think that Birmingham police officers need to see higher pay in order to not only recruit but retain them?
So I think Birmingham Police Department is on the upswing at this point. We've got a class that's going to begin, academy class that's going to begin next week. Class is going to have close to 40 in it. That's the largest class in about 10 years for the Birmingham Police Department. So I think with the funding that the mayor and the city council recently approved, some of the initiatives that are in that, I think the pendulum is swinging for Birmingham Police Department. I honestly believe that next year, this time, whoever's sitting in this role will have about 100 to 150 more police officers than they do today. So I think that the change is coming. It's just a matter of just take a little time to get those candidates through the academy and out to the streets.
Now, a few weeks ago, we went into the city of Birmingham to do a story about your retirement announcement, trying to gauge how the community felt about it. Went to several different neighborhoods, particularly in those communities that have seen, you know, higher crime than others. And every single person that I spoke to, whether they said it on camera or didn't want to do an interview but just wanted to have a conversation, their exact words were the same: I hate it. What would you say to those people who, you know, are concerned about you leaving this position?
Well, I think, you know, the leader is important, but there's so many other men and women who are working hard every day in the Birmingham Police Department to keep our city safe. And those people those men and women are going to continue to work hard every day for our citizens. You know, I honestly believe that in order to be a police officer, there's special people who are chosen to do this profession. That's why I tell people many times, this isn't a job, this is a profession. And so those who really want to get out there and do the job, there's always going to be that noise, that negativity, and there's other things going on, but you have to tune it out. And they're still going to get out there, they're still going to serve, they're still going to get out there and do the good work. And so I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of really awesome people who work here who carry the badge for the Birmingham Police Department, and they're going to continue to work hard regardless of who the chief is. And so I think the citizens just need to be focused on that. And you know, I have a lot of great things to say about Interim Chief Pickett. I was his sergeant when he started as an officer, so I've worked with him for numerous years. He's extremely capable. He just completed the FBI National Academy. So he's a very bright young man, and I expect to see a lot of great things from him.
Now, I know you made the decision a few months ago, but looking back on it, a lot has happened probably since you've made that decision. Was now the right time for a leadership change in the police department?
At the end of the day, unfortunately, I've put my career first for 26 years. My family knows that. It wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. And I always tell my staff to put your family first, but I've been absolutely horrible at doing that. But at this point in time, I've got to finally do what's right for me and for my family. And so leadership changed, whether it's time or not. Scott Thurmond's got to do what's best for him and his family. And so it's just time for that. I've finally got to put my family first.
And some people, even leading up to you making the official announcement, were rather critical of your leadership. State Representative Wanda Lingavan, for example, was, you know, asking you to step down. What would you say to those people who were questioning your leadership?
I don't really have anything to say to them. You know, I'm going to do my job. I always have done my job. That's one thing that if you talk to others, whether it's in the department or in the city, I've always worked hard and done my job. There's always going to be people who disagree with maybe how you do your job. That's fine, but I mean, you've got to continue to work hard every day because there's just so much going on. And that's why I was talking about earlier, you've got to tune some of that noise out sometimes. I mean, you have to listen to it because there could be some truth in it. But at the same time, you've got to be focused on the mission and what needs to be done.
And particularly speaking about the last, maybe it's been about, I think, a little over 2 years since you were made interim chief. So in that time, since you've taken on this role, what are you most proud of that you've accomplished in that time?
Just trying to get some things changed. You know, we were going down a path and some of those things were good, but there were some other things that had to be rebuilt and get back in place. Just trying to get Birmingham back to the department that we who have been here many years know it as. And so it just takes time. You know, I mean, when I walked in, we were still in COVID. George Floyd was fresh on the minds of many still. And it's a very challenging time for law enforcement, not here just in Birmingham, but just in our nation. And so to try and navigate that and then just navigate the issues that may be in our city was a very difficult time. I mean, I think we're coming out of that. We're moving forward in a very good direction, but you have to be careful. You know, you've got to be extremely accountable for what goes on for your men and women. You've got to be there for them. It's a lot to plan for and try and put in place and make it all work at the same time. So you're flying a plane and building it at the same time, basically.
What initiatives have worked really well with Birmingham Police Department?
You know, you've seen some of the initiatives. You've seen Operation Night Rider. You've seen, you know, we've done Operation Closeout. We've done, this year the department's going to do Operation Crackdown, which is the gunfire, celebratory gunfire crackdown on New Year's Eve. So there's a lot of things in place. Just changing some of the structure of the department as well. You know, the way we had things structured many years ago, it needs to change. We've got to be forward thinking. The utilization of technology is huge. Trying to restructure, you know, can we put civilians in certain places to get police officers back to doing more police work? So we did some of that in 2023. There's some more that needs to be done going into 2025 as well. So just kind of reconfiguring the department. You know, we can utilize civilians for so much more to let our men and women who are sworn do, you know, more in their capacity, I guess.
Is there anything that hasn't been working?
Well, you try different things. You know, we tried the 12-hour shift. Didn't work so good for us. It works for many smaller agencies. It didn't really work very well for us. There's some, of course, who still like it. There's some that don't. But the problem in Birmingham is the call volume is so high, so those officers are working very hard for that entire 12 hours. You go to some of our smaller neighboring municipalities, they may only answer 2 or 3 calls in 12 hours. So it's not a big, heavy lift for them, whereas it's a very heavy lift for our officers. So the 8-hour is good. The 10-hour would be better, but we need more manpower in order to go back to the 10-hour shifts. And with the 10-hour, you have more officers on the street during your peak hours, so it's a benefit to everyone. And I think probably as the numbers come back up, that's something that the new leadership will have to look at is do they move to a 10 or they just stay on the 8s?
And they're on 8s currently?
8s currently. We moved back to 8s about 2 months ago.
And what's been the working relationship like, you know, with the city? Is what's been working well and what, in your opinion, could change to make, you know, the police officer and the department's jobs a little bit easier, if
well,
anything?
I've always had a very good relationship with the mayor and his staff. I mean, that's always been very well. I mean, I had a great relationship with the mayor prior to coming in this role. I knew the mayor. I met the mayor when his brother was murdered. And so I was in homicide at that time and worked on that investigation with the lead detective. So I'd known him for quite some time. And so the relationship was always good. And, you know, I think there's just, there's a lot more pieces to the puzzle than what sometimes people understand as far as, you know, there's a lot of different facets of the city that have to be funded. There's 43 different departments in city government in Birmingham. So they're all fighting for funding and for resources and things of that nature. And so, you know, city leadership just has to figure out where do they put those and how much they put where. And so that's kind of up to them. But, you know, we'd always love to have more. But even in your personal life, you'd always want to have more. So it's kind of just a human nature to a degree.
And working with what you have.
Right. You got to, and so that's what, we were really challenged in 23 into 24 is how can we make the most out of what we do have? And so it was, some officers were in different areas of the department and we moved them back to, patrol or other areas. We were able to hire civilians to do that same job. So now we're able to staff the Real-Time Crime Center 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with civilians. We don't necessarily need sworn officers in there to do that job. We can put those individuals back on the street or in different roles in the department. Our technology unit, do we need police officers working on computers or can we hire civilians for that? Hiring civilians is a better option at this point in time for us.
And in your entire 26-year career here, what's one thing that sticks with you the most?
I think the officers that we've lost in the line of duty. Yeah.
That's tough, and I mean, that's something that, all the men and women on your department, have to think about daily when they do this job.
Right. Being there, and just seeing one of your fellow officers murdered, it's just very tough. Somebody you work with every day. So, yeah.
Is there anything I didn't ask you want to add or say, Chief?
No, it's just been it's been an absolute fantastic career. I tell people that the city of Birmingham and the Birmingham Police Department have treated me and my family better than we deserve for 26 years. So it's been a fantastic career.
Any final thoughts?
I just wish the best for the Birmingham Police Department, and for those who may be thinking about getting into a law enforcement career. I mean, honestly, if you really want to do police work and you really want to be a police officer, there's no better place than the Birmingham Police Department. You are going to see and do everything here. You're going to have more opportunities here than anywhere else. I remember walking out of being promoted to captain, and my mom looked over at me. She said, "Who would have thought 20 years ago you would be a police captain?" I said, "Well, not me." She said, "Well, neither one of us." And so I had that conversation with the mayor when we talked about me taking this role, and he said, "Well, I'd love to hear what your mother has to say when you tell her that you're going to be the chief of police for the Birmingham Police Department." So just been a fantastic journey, a fantastic career, more than I could have ever imagined, and just very blessed.
What did your mother say when you told her?
She said, "Are you sure you really want to do that?" Just knowing, and it was a hard decision for me, just knowing how much I was going to take on. So it was a difficult decision, but it was a good decision. It was at the end of the day. I mean, I wouldn't change it if I had to go back and do it. It's a huge challenge. You're the leader of the largest police department in the state of Alabama. There are so many people counting on you every day, and not just the men and women in the department, but our citizens. Almost 200,000 citizens are counting on you to lead the police department to provide safety for them and their family day to day. And so that's a huge challenge.
I take that back. I do have one more question. So you're probably 23, maybe 24 when you made the decision
24.
To take this career. Why did you do it?
So I remember when I was about 13, 14 years old having a conversation at dinner with my family, and my dad said, you should find a job that you love to go to every day. So sitting in an office would have not been for me at a young age. And about that time, the TV show Cops had come on. That was something that really interested me. It was, you could be a good guy helping people, putting the bad people in jail. And so that was something that really interested me. And so I knew from that point forward, that was the profession that I wanted to go into. And so when I graduated high school, I knew that I wanted to be in law enforcement. During college, I did an internship with Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms here in Birmingham. Just knew this was for me. And so I didn't let anything stop me from pursuing this career.
Did you go to high school and college in Alabama by any chance?
Went to Berry High School, which is now Hoover High School, and went to the University of Montevallo. Graduated from there.
Thank you for your time, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.